Chasing Purpose is a journey of self-love, self-development, healing, and spirituality. Here I come with love and not hatred. Here I come with love and not hatred. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow I all the days of my life. That is the message that D. Brown, the Honorable D. Brown, is gifted us so many years ago. Welcome to Chasing Purpose. I am your host, Cynthia Shea Clark, and I'm so happy to be with you all today. We are heard on Wednesday here on the bridge in Jamaica, and then on Thursday in the New York tri-state area on Irie Jam Radio. So big up my Irie Jam family. Chasing Purpose is designed to nurture to help us, all of us. This is not just about you guys out there, Bridge Nation. I'm also on this journey with you all. So we're nurturing our faith, we're setting our intentions, we're pursuing our aspirations, all while we are living boldly, right? That is what Chasing Purpose is about. How is everybody doing out there in Bridge Nation and Irie Jam fam land? Make this month a great one. Let's make it count. I am just fresh back from the Hello 7 ROI Millionaire Summit. We're going to talk more about that later on down in the show, because my guest is none other than one of the speakers that opened up the summit. Her name is Kalilah Reynolds, the Kalilah Reynolds. We're going to be speaking to her later on in the show. We're going to be talking about relationships with money and healing our relationships with money. Do we know what it is to have a relationship with money? Do we even have a bank account? Some of us don't even have bank accounts. So we're going to be talking about all things finance, all things money in this segment. Not just money, right? Just our relationship with it. You know, what trauma have we even had with money? Do we even know that there's such thing as financial trauma? And what's the mindset do you guys have? Do we have an abundance mindset? Do we have a scarcity mindset? So we're going to be talking about all of that in today's show. I absolutely love this message, right? So here I come with love and not hatred, right? Surely goodness and mercy shall follow I all the days of our life. And that's what I want for all of us. Anyone that is listening to the sound of my voice. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow you all the days of your life. That's what life is supposed to be about, right? Showing each other grace and love. Here I come with love and not hatred. That's the message, you know. That is the message. We are here to love one another. We are here to show love. We're here to give love. We're here to receive love as well. So I hope you guys take heed to the message that is in the music. May I ask Mr. JB, we can play that song again? While they cue it up, as we talk about just kind of healing and pushing ourselves forward and moving ourselves forward and chasing our purpose, right? We're doing this with love and with grace, right? Right on cue. Could never, ever, ever be friends.
Oh no. Here I come with love and not hatred. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow I all the days of our life. Envy no one, no wish to be with no evil man. For there'll come the day when you'll be whipped by the feathers and live up good children. Oh yeah, live up past the children. My head is anointed and my cup runneth anointed, and my cup runneth over. Yeah. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow I all the days of our life.
It is also reggae month. When you listen to that rhythm and that bass, it just sets a tone. This month, guys, let us all be celebrating reggae month, which is a big reggae month, it should be kind of a reggae year, I think, for me, because we just love reggae over here. But it is reggae month, so let's get out and support our musicians, our artists, our artisans that are going to be doing things throughout the month of February for reggae month. But today we're talking about healing our relationship with money. We can all agree that money is an essential part of our lives, but for many of us, it can also be a source of stress, anxiety, and self-doubt. I know people that worry themselves when they can't pay the bills, worry themselves into heart attack, into stroke, into just all sorts of illness and sickness, because the money is just not, they have a really bad relationship with money. Our relationship with money is often complicated and influenced by things like financial trauma, feelings of self-worth, imposter syndrome, and fear of having too much, which I just recently learned that is a thing. For today's mindset message segment, we want to explore these emotional and psychological aspects of our relationship with money and provide tips on how to heal and transform it. And this is a real conversation, guys. This is a serious one. How many of us have a handle on our finances? How many of us have a handle on retirement? What's the retirement plan? And if you have children, do you have a bank account set up for them and for a college fund? Are you saving? Do you have a rainy day account, for savings, or just kind of, do we know what discretionary funds are? All these things, especially as we're on our journey of purpose and wanting to live a fuller, happier life, are things that we have to look at. A lot of us, I'll speak for me, growing up, I wasn't taught much about money. My parents came to the States trying to find that American dream. So they worked all 5 jobs, the 2 of them, just to make sure that we went to a good school, that make sure we were able to have good clothes, eat well, live well. And money was always a source of stress, because once my mom stopped or left her 9 to 5, both my parents, they had to go to another job, right? They had then to go to another job. My father used to take side hustles on the weekend. So there was always this chase of money. There's always this pursuit of money, just to pay the bills. That was it. We were just paying the bills. When my parents were just paying the bills, there was never a conversation of, okay, so we have to save this amount of money for X. We're going to have to put towards this. That conversation, well, you know how we as parents, or our parents are supposed to tell us about the birds and the bees, and you have the talk. We need to start having the financial talk as well with our children. It's very, very, very important. So today we're talking about healing our relationship with money, or just our relationship with money. Financial trauma refers to the negative experiences and emotions associated with money, such as anxiety, fear, guilt, shame, and stress. These experiences can stem from events such as growing up in poverty, losing a job, incurring debt, or facing financial hardship. One example of that right now is what's happening with our Honorable Usain Lightning Bolt. Financial trauma. And I'm sure that it's traumatic for him, even though I'm sure he has, his finances are in order. But you work so hard to put your money away for it to for this to happen to you, and it's on such a public order. It's traumatic. It's traumatic. If not for him, I'm sure for his loved ones. And it's a trickle down effect. It affects everyone in his circle. Financial trauma can impact our overall mental health and well-being. How much people did you guys know that? How many people knew that your financial trauma, if you have experienced it, can help or hinder your mental well-being, as well as your ability to manage money and make sound financial decisions? How many of us are making sound financial decisions? Or are we just, doing foolishness with our money. When we get our money, when we get our paycheck, however you get paid, are we saving? Or is it that we just hit the bar up, hit the girls, go out with the girls, or what is it? Or are there aims and there goals for money? Do you have intention for your money? Are you banking your money? Are you investing? All these things are conversations. And now it's the top of the year. So we can really look at what action plans we can do to set ourselves up financially, right? Another thing that kind of helps us on this or hinders us on this financial journey is imposter syndrome. It's also a common experience for many of us, especially when it comes to money. If we feel we're not good enough or don't deserve financial success, we can hold ourselves back. I'm reading right now The Big Leap with Gay Hendricks, and he talks about upper limiting beliefs. And over his course of counseling, he's said he's met with so much CEOs and people in business that can't get to the next level or are stuck because they feel they're not good enough or worthy enough to make money or to bring in money. So they limit themselves, they play small. There's also the fear of having too much, also known as an abundance anxiety. I learned that today. Is another common barrier to financial success. If we're afraid of attracting abundance, we can limit our financial growth and success. And let me just tell you right now, that's what I'm thinking. Abundance, we want all things good in abundance. Whether it be our finances, certainly our health, our family, love, you, all of that, all things good in abundance. Some of us like to give and are hesitant to receive. My producer says she thinks that's me. I read that today, like, oh, who knew? I like to give, but I don't like to receive. I'm sorry, Dom, I do like to receive. But we have to realize that the more we have, the more we can give, and that's so important. And she's right. Like I'm big on giving back. And, so that's why I'm trying for more. I want to do more because if I can get more in financially, I can give more. Giving back is so important. To overcome these issues, we need to address the underlying emotional and psychological issues and develop healthy financial habits and beliefs. And to be honest, we may not even realize it, right? For those who are aware. But some of our parents' practices or our grandparents or whoever raised us, we saw and observed and mentally probably held in our subconscious, well, mommy did this with the money. Grandma put the money under her bed, so I'm going to do that. There's things that we probably practices we would have brought forward from what our parents not taught us intentionally, but showed us. So what are we showing our kids today? How are we speaking to them about their finances and the importance of money? And it's not just about money, right? It's not just about the having of money or being in relation with money. I believe money is in energy. You exchange, you buy something in exchange for something, but we do need to be financially aware. Sometimes people allow money to consume them. The addiction of chasing after money. You forget, while I'm on this high to go get the finances, I'm forgetting about my family. I'm forgetting about self-care. I'm forgetting about pouring into my own cup. So all of these things play a part in our journey of chasing purpose. So, as I said, to overcome these issues, here are some things that my trusty producer came up with or found. Seek professional help, such as therapy or financial counseling. A financial advisor is very important. Developing a budget and sticking to it. How many of us have decided to do a budget for 2023 and say, right, this is how we're going to kind of map out our year, the months in the year. This is what we're going to spend. This is how we're going to budget. This is what we're going to put here. This is what we're going to put here. Especially if we're looking to launch something, if we're looking to set up, a college fund for our children, if we're looking just to kind of do a vacation trip or a girls trip or a shopping trip, are you budgeting for it? setting financial goals and tracking the progress of it. There's so much apps out there that allow you to do that now. And seeking support from friends and family. If you don't know, ask. I certainly have had to. If you don't know, ask. It is also important to challenge negative self-talk and replace it with positive affirmations, and to educate ourselves on money management techniques and financial literacy. Look here now. I am constantly saying money flows freely and abundantly. That is a thing for me. Money flows freely and abundantly, and I attract all things good. I attract money. I attract the luxury lifestyle that I want to live. I attract just all things good. Positive self-talk, not just with money, with everything, every aspect of your life. You're supposed to be speaking word to power into yourself. Right now on Chasing Purpose, I am sitting next to, let me do a proper introduction. Let me properly read, because I'm gonna get all excited because we spent a girls' trip last week away getting our money right, getting our mindset right. But today we're going to explore the world of personal finance and the emotional and psychological aspects of our relationship with money. What does our relationship with money currently look like, and how can we heal from it if we have an issue or trauma from it? Our special guest today is Kalilah Reynolds, an award-winning business and finance journalist, educator, and entrepreneur with over 20 years of experience in television and radio in Jamaica and Belize. Kalilah has a wealth of knowledge and experience to share with our listeners. Make sure you have your journals, your glass of water or wine, whatever floats your boat, because I'm sure Kalilah is going to share gems. She's also the creator and executive producer of Jamaica's most influential business talk show, Taking Stock. Let me just let that sink in, guys. You hear me? Did you? Let me say it again. She's also the creator and executive producer of Jamaica's most influential business talk show, Taking Stock, with nearly 3 million, that's what I said, 3 million views on YouTube. Kalilah is also a published author of 2 books and holds a MA in Communication Studies and a BA in Journalism, both with distinction. And may I add, because I was witness to, she is now an international speaker and all these things. Kalilah Reynolds, welcome to Chasing Purpose.
Hey, thank you so much, Sin, my new sister.
I mean, let me tell you guys something. We're gonna talk about where we just came from, which was Puerto Rico. Rachel Rogers' Hello 7 ROI Millionaire Summit. Mm-hmm. It's a mouthful to say. Naomi Garrick, if you guys remember, last year was on the show, and she talked, I think it was on air, off air, I don't remember, about this We Should All Be Millionaires book, and she said, Sin, you have to have one. Not even a week later, she called me and said, I have your copy, and she gifted it to me, and that was where the seed was planted. Mm-hmm. And my understanding is that you are really you're the plug.
Yeah, I told Naomi about the book.
Which is what we should be doing, as we're all about to be millionaires, is sharing this information. So, Kalilah, I'm going to first ask you, before we get into the questions, let's talk about last week. Mm-hmm. What happened last week, and why I'm sharing this with you, guys, Bridge Nation, is because we are of the mindset that we need to be all millionaires. We need to be creating millionaires, right? A sisterhood and a brotherhood around what that mindset is. Not just the act. Yes, we want the physical money, right? But there's also a mindset that comes with that, and I think that a lot of things were unearthed for us. All of us. So and let me just tell you guys something. The Jamaican delegation, which we've now been pegged. Okay, we turned up. Jamaica showed up and showed out. Okay, and you can go on our pages to see the pictures.
The flag was everywhere.
The flag was flagging, guys. The flag was flagging, and it really was. It was our pride that was showing. Mm-hmm. And let me just tell you guys. So we're talking about a room full, about 1,000 plus maybe persons. And this lady that sits beside me gets on stage, right, to open up this ceremony. So it's a week long. Yes, you, man. That would be
lady that sits. I'm like, who is beside you at ROI?
She jumped. She got on the stage, the opportunity to share her sermon. And we were so proud. I mean, we did the Jamaican thing. We get up on galang bad. All thing we needed was our pot covers. And we're talking about in this auditorium in Puerto Rico of over 1,000 persons, Kalilah Reynolds got up and shared her story. And I would love, I'm putting you on the spot, Kalilah, but if you can just share just a little bit of it with our listeners.
Oh, wow. Okay, so here is how the story started.
Yes.
And you'll remember the opening line very well.
Yes.
Right? I took my laptop to the hospital when I was giving birth to my son.
Like, if that a dedication?
And that just sounds insane,
Yeah.
right? But I promise you, I'm not some crazy workaholic. Although I do work a lot and I enjoy working, I enjoy giving
Important.
back. But there was meaning and reason behind it and why I felt that I was compelled to do that. If you guys remember a couple of years ago, Trans-Jamaican Highway IPO was out. That was the hot thing. The whole of Jamaica all of a sudden was interested in stocks and
Not
investing.
just Jamaica. I was in New York at the time, and we all were trying to get stocks.
Exactly. And so now I had been doing this work for a year and a half before, just educating people about what investing is, what stocks are. And now all of a sudden people are ready to listen. They're ready for this message. Now all of a sudden everybody's asking me, what are stocks? What's an IPO? What's all this about? Should I put my money in this investment? All the problem is I am 9 months pregnant when all of this is happening, and I'm due any day now. And my show was brand new. I just launched Taking Stock like 3 months before. We booked an interview with the finance minister, Dr. Nigel Clark. Only problem is I'm 9 months pregnant. So I remember looking at my belly and I'm like, son, just give me a couple more days. Let me do this interview and then you can make your grand entrance to the world. So I did the interview Friday with Nigel Clark. My son was born on Sunday and the show came out on Monday on schedule because I had to pack up that laptop and get that work done. Because at the time, I didn't have a whole team like what I have now. It was mostly just me.
Well, that shows your dedication and your passion and purpose on your purpose journey, because do you believe this is what your purpose to do?
Yeah,
educating
absolutely.
persons around finance. And I was talking just earlier in the last hour about finance and people some just generally don't know about finance. You hear about having a bank account, a savings account, an IPO. When I first heard about an IPO maybe 5 years ago, I'm like, what is that? What does that even stand for?
Same.
So it's so important, this work that you're doing, educating all of us on what is possible for us.
Right. And I think right now, with all that's happening with the SSL scandal and Usain Bolt, I think financial education is even more important than ever.
Absolutely.
When this first happened, I was like, oh no, now nobody's going to want to hear about stocks and investing, and everybody's going to be scared. People who are considering to start investing might change their mind. And this has happened to some degree. But I think it even more so is an opportunity to double down on the message and help people understand what's going on, why it's going on, how can you protect yourself, what are the different avenues available to you.
And I'm happy that you touched on that, because coming from New York, this show's also aired on Irie Jam Radio in the New York tri-state area. I've heard a lot of our listeners and persons and the people that I know personally are now wanting to come and pull their money. What would you say to them? How would you reassure them that no, that's not the right thing to do? Yes, this happened. However, your money is safe, or
well, I cannot be the one to deliver that message, because I do not run these financial institutions. I can't tell you that your money is safe. But what you should do is get in touch with your financial institution, make sure that you're on their mailing list and you're getting the information, ask a lot of questions, look through their financial statements to see their position. Are they in a position where if something like this happens, then you are assured that you get your money back? And I saw several institutions issuing statements, and one in particular stood out, which was Sagicor. Sagicor sent out a statement saying, if anybody ever thief your money, we will give you back. We'll pay it back 100%, which is what typically happens at most institutions, because there is theft. We've heard of other instances as well. It doesn't get, not on the level of what was stolen from Usain Bolt, but what typically happens is that the institution just pays back the money because they have the money to pay it back. They're well capitalized. In this case with SSL, SSL, it seems that they don't have the money to pay it back. And part of the problem is that SSL is a private company, and we in the public are not privy to their financial statements. We can't just, so eight of the 13 licensed brokers in Jamaica are publicly listed. They're on the stock exchange, which means that they are obligated and required to publish their financial statements every 3 months to the public. You can just go online right now and see exactly how much money NCB make, how much money they have, how much money they owe. But for SSL, we don't have that information. So one of the changes that has come out of this, and I heard the finance minister say it last week at a press conference, is that all of these institutions are now going to be required to make that information public.
Which is, yes,
so
the
research your
right
institution. You don't have to be hasty and say, I'm just pulling my money out of Jamaica or out of the institution, but research and find out how strong, how solid is the institution that you have your money before you make any decisions.
Great advice. Tell us about your journey into journalism and then finance.
So, well, for that, we have to go way, way back.
Yes.
When I was 5 years old, probably by the time I was about 5, I decided that I want to be a writer.
Okay.
And that was my big career ambition, because I loved reading and I loved writing, telling stories. And I published my first book at the age of 7.
Yeah, hello!
What's a publisher now? Here's what I mean by publishing. I wrote a book on paper like this, staple it together, draw some pictures.
And you published your
and
book.
Did I sell copies of that? It was my intention to sell copies of that
But at
book.
7 years old?
At 7 years
Yes!
old. But I'm from Belize, as you mentioned in the intro. And similar to Jamaica, we're a developing country. And I was always told that you can never make a career out of being a writer in Belize, that you'll never succeed. You're not going to make any money doing that. I had this grand ambition to be this great Caribbean writer like V.S. Naipaul and win a Nobel Prize.
Yeah.
And that dream just never seemed attainable to me. So growing up, I started thinking, okay, what can I do that will allow me to write all day, which is what I love doing. And I also had a deep interest in current affairs, in social issues. My dad is a trade union leader. And so we grew up singing union songs. We shall not be moved. So they were like picketing with their stuff. We grew up singing union songs. So I was deeply interested in social affairs and social justice. And I said, well, I can marry these two interests. And why don't I write real stories about things that are happening to people in real life? And who does that? Journalists do that. So I can follow, everything that's happening, politics and society, write about those things. And my idea was that I was going to be a newspaper and magazine writer.
Okay.
Didn't work out that way. My first job happened to be in radio.
Okay.
I was like, why radio? I hate my voice. Kind of cute, so I could do TV.
Kind of cute?
I could do TV, and I'm a great writer. I could do print, but of all the media available, radio, I have this. I appreciate my voice now. My voice has matured.
You have a lovely voice.
It doesn't sound like what it sounded like 20 years ago.
I'm sure that was just in your head. That was just in your head.
So I ended up doing radio. And then that led to television, because radio, TV, they're often
hand in hand,
very synergistic. That led to television. I've never worked a day in print, but I did get to write a lot. I did get a lot of experience covering politics, social issues, several major hurricanes, several elections. Moved to Jamaica, did the same thing here. And then along that journey, I started developing an interest in business and finance. I realized I loved reporting on the stories about the economy. I love hearing how businesses are doing and what's, and especially since around that time in Jamaica, the stock market was really booming. And I became really interested. And then I started investing for myself, because I had this period where I was just reporting on these stories and I was seeing how much money other people were making. And I was like, hold on.
If they can do it, you can.
Why am I just telling these stories and not doing what they're doing? So I started investing. And once I became an investor now, I had an even deeper interest and I wanted more information. Couldn't find the information I was looking for. Yes, Gleaner Observer reports on it, but it wasn't connecting with me. I couldn't really understand all the language and the jargon. I didn't know what an IP, well, I did because I was a journalist, but there was a level of understanding that I didn't have. So I started doing research. And then I started putting that out on my social media. And then other people were like, let me follow her because she knows the stuff that I want to know. And I started sharing it and it just grew from there.
grew from there to, I'm talking about 3 million viewed, over 3 million views on YouTube, right? Which is a huge accomplishment. And you've authored 2 books. So from that's our 7-year-old self, right? You actually accomplished that dream of writing books. So I want to talk about your mindset about money before getting to know or diving deeper into the business of finance and all that stuff. What were you taught about money, or what was your relationship with money like?
So my financial education consisted of my parents saying that what you should do in life is you go to school, you study hard, you get a good job, you work hard, you save your money, you buy a house, and that equals financial success.
That's it, yes.
And
Similar.
it didn't quite work out that way.
Yeah.
And I did all the initial steps. I went to school, I studied hard, distinction,
Yes,
all
yes,
that, got
distinction,
good grades,
everything.
got a job, worked hard, worked very hard. But I was not able to save the money to buy a house. You know, it just, these things that they told me would lead to success, and the measure of success being buy a house, just did not add up to what they were supposed to add up in my financial education, right? And that was a sore spot for me.
Yeah.
I felt like a failure. And even though I was, so smart and doing so well professionally in my career, I was a financial failure.
Yeah.
Not just because of the house thing, but I also had credit card debt, and daughters in prep school. There came a time when I couldn't pay her school fees, and I remember early in my career in Jamaica too, I was on TV at night and then riding the bus with everybody else. JUTC, big presenter, my full makeup TV face,
and on the bus. But there's so many people that are right now in this situation where they have no idea what to do with it. The education is not there because they don't teach it in schools.
They do not.
And then our parents are just trying to. You have to seek the information, and that's why what you're doing is such important work, because now you're able to educate us and tell us what we should know and what we should be doing as it pertains to our finance. How do you think our relationship with money affects our self-worth?
Ooh, it affects it a lot. So what I told you about not being able to achieve that goal of buying a house, I felt less than. I felt like because I have all this debt, and because I, can't pay the school fee, and because I'm taking the bus, that I am not worthy of all the great things that life potentially has in store for me.
Right, which was so far from the truth. So far from the truth. And
because you blame yourself. You say you made the mistakes.
Right.
It's your fault.
Right.
It's my fault that I'm not where I'm supposed to be because I went to the party
Yeah.
and I spent the money on the shoes
So
and
you guilt yourself
and I
and-
made poor decisions, and so you blame yourself for the reason that you're not financially successful. But you have the power within you to turn that around.
And that's where that imposter syndrome. That imposter syndrome comes in and begins to speak louder than what your positive self-talk is supposed to be doing. How do you think fear of having too much can impact our financial well-being? I'm reading this book by Gay Hendricks called The Big Leap, and he's talking about CEOs and certain persons in business having limiting upper beliefs because they just feel that they shouldn't be making money. There's this idea of if they make too much, it's I don't even know what Dominique is saying. It's abundance anxiety.
I understand it.
I
relate to it. So there was a session at ROI named "Is Making $1 Million Ethical?"
Yeah.
Did you
Yes.
attend that
Yes.
session?
Yes, I did. Yes.
I only caught snippets of it, but I remember posting the screenshot from the stage, and somebody was asking, people are really asking this question. I'm like, yes, this is a big question, and it comes from some of the things that we are taught in the Bible, in church. Money is the root of all evil, which apparently is a misinterpretation of that phrase. The rich man can never enter heaven, and that type of thing. I grew up Catholic. Belize has a very strong Catholic base, and in Catholicism, in the Catholic faith, the priests take a vow of poverty.
Right.
And so,
I didn't know that.
yeah, they take a vow. So you always see them in the robes, and they just look poor. They take a vow of poverty and chastity. And so it was always in my mind considered wrong to aspire for a lot of
okay,
money.
Okay. So it sounds like there's a lot of work that needs to be, like, relearning then, that needs to be done as it pertains to our finances. But when we come back, we're going to jump to a quick commercial break. When we come back, more with Kalilah Reynolds. Welcome back to Chasing Purpose, heard right here on the Irie Jam Radio in the New York tri-state area. I am speaking to Miss Kalilah Reynolds, finance journalist, educator, and entrepreneur, and
International speaker.
I'm sorry. Say it louder for the person.
And international
for the
speaker.
persons in the back. She is an international speaker, y'all. Did an amazing job at the ROI Millionaire Summit. Kalilah, can you talk about the importance of cultivating a positive mindset towards finances?
Yeah, so mindset is something that is extremely important, and I didn't even fully realize it until last week when I went to ROI. I had a major, probably 2 or 3 major breakthroughs surrounding the mindset. I didn't even realize I had these limiting beliefs around money. Some of which probably emanated from what I just told you about growing up Catholic. Correct. And the thought about money. Correct. I didn't realize these things, and the moment I made that breakthrough, I stopped ball. Like you guys saw me. I was just
beautiful,
crying.
though. No, but it was beautiful to see that awakening. Then that stepping into stuff, that identifying that, okay, there's this, but no, I can go above that. That glass ceiling breaking. And I saw it in real time, guys. And this is why this summit is so important. And just kind of shifting our minds around what we were taught growing up around money, or not taught. A lot of us were not really sat down and taught, this is what you should be doing, or that you can achieve this. You can go into stocks. There is this thing where you can have, I don't know, do they have IRAs here? Roth? That's that's overseas. But you can do investing. You can.
That's a type of retirement savings, right?
Yes.
So we have different options, not that specific one.
Yes, but those things are attainable. It's not just getting a job or going to school, getting the degree, going to work, and making sure you get a good job so you can get a house. But it's so much more. We can own so much more, and it starts with our mindset.
Do you remember what Myron said? I posted a clip from Myron. He had gems upon gems upon gems. Much. But the clip I posted from Myron said that if you want to be wealthy, you have got to disconnect your revenue generation from time.
Yes. I remember that. Disconnect your revenue generation from time, because
disconnect your revenue generation from time.
Can you expand on that?
So you only have so many hours in a day.
Yes.
You're limited. If your revenue generation is limited to the amount of hours that you can work for money, you'll never be wealthy. No matter how much money you're making, because you always see basketball players, athletes, entertainers, musicians, they're working for money. They may be making a whole lot of money, but the minute they stop working, the minute they stop exchanging their time for money, that revenue ceases to come in. Yeah. But you have got to disconnect your revenue generation from time, meaning that you need to be making money without having to exchange your time for it. So doing things like investing, having your money work for you, investing in property, investing in stocks, things that are going to generate your money for you without you having to physically work for it.
And I want to talk about some of the limiting beliefs, right, that are out there around money. What are some things, as you said, growing up, you only saw poor, is that the right, would that be the right word? Priests. Yeah. You didn't see priests.
It's evolved poverty, so poor is the right word.
You saw poor priests. They weren't living lavishly like you see some of these social media priests. That was a culture
shock to me when I saw priests driving Benz, pastor have private jet, pastor in Louis Vuitton. That was a culture shock to me.
But these are the limiting beliefs because it's how you grow. But what are other limiting beliefs around finances?
Right. So there's so many that we have in our minds. So we grow up believing that the exchange of money for time is just how the system works, right? And we don't even realize that there is another level to it, that we can have products. So we grow up also believing that we need to work for somebody.
Yes.
And we are trained, we are conditioned from an early age to be employees. And there's not much conditioning to believe that we can be entrepreneurs, that we can lead our own businesses. Entrepreneurs solve problems.
Yeah.
If you are a natural problem solver, then it is easy for you to come up with an idea that other people will also be interested in, which is a sense of what I did. I came up with an idea that other people also want and are willing to pay for.
And that you're very interested in.
Exactly.
And that's another thing too.
And it's about serving.
And it's about serving and service.
Making money. It's not, and that's the thing that we have. Entrepreneurs, they're greedy, they're rich, they just want money. The most successful entrepreneurs are really about serving others.
Of service, correct. They are of service.
And you serve others first, and in the process of serving others, money comes to you.
Absolutely. Oh my God, there's just so many different ways that I'm going because I'm thinking of all that Myron said, right?
Listen, I ordered his 2 books and I signed up for his course, which is next week. I went home and I started binging. I found every podcast that he's been on.
He is Myron Golden. I think he's at Myron Golden on social media.
Yeah.
But we do need a re-education around what our mindset is when it comes on to money and how we can make money. As you said, we are conditioned to be the employers, but we can be entrepreneurs, right? There's a lot of us that are passionate about so many different things and don't realize that we can turn that passion into money. We can turn that passion, if it is that you love to talk about finance. See, Kalilah's turned her podcast into a money generating one, right? Where she can talk about finance. She's also giving back, right? And she's doing what I believe she's purposed to do and passionate about. Whoever created this water bottle, right? That person had the foresight to say, look, this water bottle can be what does it say?
It says, let's get this money.
Because that's what we're about. Let's get that money. For what is the name of the business?
Kalilah Reynolds
Reynolds Media. And she's building a media house off of this, because I think I saw on your social media that you now have a whole production.
Yeah, I have a studio, I have a team.
All things that you growing up, you probably didn't even think you could attain. Because of the
never
conditioning.
Even occurred to me.
Never even occurred to you, right?
All I thought was I need to go to school, work hard, get a job.
So let's talk about that. What are we telling our children today? How are we educating? Because you have young children, as do I. What are we telling our children about money? What seeds are we planting? What are we saying from now at this age? How do we plant the seeds to say this is the steps that you should take so that when you're older, this is how you can be successful, or this is what you can do when you get of age?
Yeah, I'd absolutely love to nurture the entrepreneurial spirit in my children. My children are 2, 4, and 20.
Okay.
And the 20-year-old growing up, she has had all kind of ideas. So she is an artist. She's very artistic. She draws, paints, does stuff like this.
Okay.
She's really good. She's now studying architecture. And people who have been in art traditionally are told the same thing that I was told. You never make no money as an artist. You'd be a starving, the term starving artist.
Limiting belief. Yeah.
But Alexa is also quite entrepreneurial naturally. And I remember her making things as a kid and selling them. And she set up A's Art Business. She had her little company named A's Art Business. And she was selling, and she was not afraid to go out and find clients. She would come to my work in the evening and she would sell to my co-workers. And then she would even upsell and get them to buy stuff, like pre-order stuff.
I love
so
that.
she's like, okay, if you give me this money now, I'm going to make this item for you. So she doesn't even have the item yet and she's already selling it.
Which is something we learned over in Puerto Rico. That's something that Rachel has taught in her club.
And this child just
that's great.
innately knew to do that.
That's good. So she has the entrepreneurial spirit already. So you're nurturing that.
Yeah, I've encouraged it. So she didn't take me up. I wanted her to register her business when she was 17. I'm like, wouldn't that be so cool if you were a registered business owner at Company's Office of Jamaica before you even turned 18?
Wow, yeah.
And I encouraged it, but she never did it. She never did it. Hopefully she still will at some point. Yeah.
So what other tips can we share with our listeners about the education of finance at this age so that we can plant the seeds?
Right. So it's important to just at least teach your children how money works. So money just doesn't, parents always say money doesn't grow from trees. Well, explain to them how is money generated. I remember my other daughter, Nerisi, who's 4, she's going to turn 5 soon. She had this idea that you just go to the ATM and get money.
Yeah.
And I had to explain to her that no, you have to put money in the bank first in order to get money out. And she is like, oh, but where do you get the money to put in the bank? Because she was saying, oh, but you can just go to the bank or just use your credit card. Not understanding that when you use your credit card, that's actually a loan that you have to pay back.
So just just having the real conversation,
just explaining to them how it works, where money comes from. And it all depends on the age of the child and what they're mature enough to understand. But as they grow up, just start explaining to them how it works.
About creating and maintaining personal wealth. What tips do you have for our listeners?
So we have 3 keys to wealth creation. You ready?
I'm writing. Rich Nation, RJM fam, make sure you have your pens and your journals. We're writing these things down.
I probably should say 4 now, but 3 major keys to wealth creation. You have real estate investing.
Big time, yep.
But that requires a lot of money up front, doesn't it? You have to have a lot of money, or at least access to a lot of money, because you're probably going to borrow the money to buy the property.
Yeah.
But not everybody can get approved for the loan, right? So there's real estate investing, which over time has shown to be, you get good returns off of real estate. Number 2, you have entrepreneurship, probably the most profitable of the 3 keys, but entrepreneurship is still exchanging your time for money. And we spoke about that, right?
Yes.
Entrepreneurship is going to take a whole lot of your time.
It is.
And sometimes it can take years.
I was just
before
going
it's
to
profitable.
say it is not as easy. And while it is not as easy, for me, an entrepreneur, it is the best bet, because again, you get to do what you love. And you get that idea of giving back and being of service. So I love the idea of being an entrepreneur. I love the idea of being a real estate investor also. We're going to talk about that.
For me, it's the most rewarding, being an entrepreneur. And it's where I spend my most time now.
Yes.
And number 3, though, is stock market investing. And the thing about stock market investing that I love is that it doesn't take a lot of time and it doesn't take a lot of money. So you can earn passive income from stock market investing, and you can start with very little money. People always feel like you need a whole heap of money to start, and they're going to say, oh, I'm going to start when I save up $100,000. No, you can open your investment account with as little as $500 at some financial institutions.
500
Jamaican dollars.
500 Jamaican dollars?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh, all right. I was just gonna say how
just
much
build from there.
Okay.
And then just keep invest. So every month when you get paid, you put something in the investment account. You purchase new assets.
Okay.
So and the key, what all 3 of these things have in common. Let me see if you can guess the commonality between the 3. We talk about real estate, entrepreneurship, stock market investing. What do they have in common, Sin?
Real estate, stock market investing, and what was the last one?
Entrepreneurship.
I mean, they all need money. What else?
Ownership.
Oh yes, that part.
That's the real key.
Yeah, you're
ownership. You got to own assets that are going to increase in value over time. So you own property, so that increases in value over time. You own your business, going to increase in value over time. And the stocks are going to increase in value over the long term. Stock market investing is not for buy today, flip tomorrow. You can do that. Some people do that and they make a good profit, a good living off it. But that's still trading your money for time, because you're going to spend a lot of time
doing the research,
finding those trades, right?
Right.
So when you think about it over the long term, you really want to buy assets, own assets that will increase in value over time. That's the real key
to
wealth creation. Yeah.
I am now about to get my entire financial literacy together by taking stock.
And taking the class.
And taking and we have a class, which is important.
Yes.
There's a class.
There is a class. It's called the Money Mission Master Class.
Yes.
Because we're on a mission to educate Jamaicans about money.
Yes.
You can just go to my website at KalilahReynolds.com/masterclass, and we teach the the basics about budgeting. We go into managing debt. So especially if you have high credit card debt, how do you get out of that? And then we talk about a lot about investing and how to start investing.
Important. Give the website again.
It's KalilahReynolds.com.
KalilahReynolds.com.
Google my name, it will pop right up.
And spell the spelling, then the correct
So
spelling
it's
for us.
KalilahReynolds.com/masterclass. If you go to the homepage, it will take you there too.
We'll see. And we're talking about let's get this money. That is the slogan
Let's get
for
this
this money, right? So Kalilah, let me ask you this, or let me ask you this. To our listeners, just leave with them a few tips on how they can become better financially aware.
So Google. Make Google your best friend.
Everybody's best friend.
Make Google your best friend. I don't have any degree in finance or economics or none of this stuff. I didn't study this stuff in school, but the difference is that I actively sought information. Anything that I didn't know, Google. And so many people ask me questions. They DM me, what is this, what is that, how does this work, how does that work? And I got to Google and find the answer. What they could have done the same thing. Just go on the internet, go on YouTube, spend some time trying to understand. There's so many free resources out there. But if you want me to tell you, you can take my masterclass. I put everything in one place. That makes it a little bit easier. But anything that you need to know, just do a simple online search. Invest in your own personal education. Buy books. I'm constantly reading.
That part. Invest in your own your awareness around finance. Invest in it. It is so important. Anything, whether it's finance or whatever it is that you want to do, invest in it. Invest in yourself. Bet on yourself, because I can promise you, once you bet on yourself, there's going to be return on that investment. All right, we have to wrap. Thank you, Kalilah, so much for joining me. I enjoyed the conversation. We're going to take this conversation off air, but please, guys, bet on yourself, invest in yourself. As always, sow seeds that we all can benefit from. Wishing you love, light, and of course, purpose.